Joe Arabic.
Rob Chauvin.
Thomas Roussel.
And we're the Capital Improvement Committee. Our chair board is not here today, so I will be taking over. We are going to go through the list of every department that sent us a request, and we will vote on it to allow it to go to the vote at the town meeting. The first one is going to be the fire department. Chief, would you like to speak? I'm here.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Well.
You mentioned a request, actually it's been requested before.
The first request is for the hydraulic tools. Is that the Jaws of Life?
Yes, that's the Jaws. It's over 10 years old. It's hard to get parts and it's hard to repair. So we wanted to get newer equipment.
Okay. Can you tell us about the new ones that you're trying to get? Are they?
Oh, they're battery operated, so we don't have like the hydraulic hoses and everything to trip over as well. It's easier to maintain, easier to get parts for, and stronger and smaller. So the strength of it is obviously improved over time, and it's lightweight and easy to use.
Very good. And this would replace a direct replacement for the other one, which would just be scrapped?
Yes.
Would it? Okay. There's no trade-in value?
We're gonna look into it, but I don't think so because of the age.
Okay.
Because everyone's getting the newer stuff. No one's really going for old.
Is there any discussion by the board?
No, I'm good.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I make the motion that we accept the proposal for the Jaws of Life tool.
Rob, do you second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There we go. Thank you, Chief. Second one is for B1. What is B1?
Our brush truck,
Okay.
we decided we can hold off on that. We don't have to push that one through.
Okay.
We can hold off a year or two on that one.
Good, so the brush truck is tabled. The last one is C1. Can you tell us about that one, please?
Car 1, which is the fire chief's vehicle. Actually, I think I have another one after that one.
You do, you have the ambulance.
Car 1, that has over 113,000 miles on it as well. It's an older one, it puts a lot more miles. We can hold off one more year on that one if you like. But we prefer to switch it out, but we can hold off one more year. Now,
does this one come under the Green Communities Act? Do you have to get a hybrid, or?
Well, we just got a new truck, and that was a hybrid one.
Okay.
So it does fall under that if we did get a new one.
Now, are these just regenerative braking, or are they purely electric?
No, it's not purely electric.
Okay, so it's gas in.
Or energy efficient, I should say.
Energy efficient, yes. So would you like to put this one in?
We're going to hold that one off for 1 year.
We're going to hold off. Very good. And the last one is the ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
Why does an ambulance cost $376,000? Where's that?
Yeah, because like everything else, it's gone up over time.
Okay.
It's the motor, the actual setup, just the stretcher itself, the new requirements for the stretcher, that's over $15,000 to $20,000 just for the stretcher.
Oh, wow.
And everything's powered, and with all the regulations, that's the reason why the price is so up, because all the regulations for the state, you have to have lockdown, it has to be, there's secured, it can't jar at all, and there's all regulations on that. And we actually went with the lower model price.
Yep.
But yeah, we wanted to put it in because it's actually behind by 2 years, even if we ordered it now.
Oh, wow.
That's how far behind they are.
Wow. Gentlemen, do I hear a motion or any discussion?
Yes, sir.
There are no smoke, direct source diesel exhaust. Is that for when they're idling outside emergency rooms, et cetera? Is that an exhaust recovery system to prevent the fumes from going into a building, or just?
Well, actually, that's for every building here. The no smoke we use in the station, because we don't have plume events that come down, you see at some fire stations that hook up, we don't have that. All our vehicles have the no smoke, so it actually stays in a compacted compartment, and as it goes down the road, it loosens, discharges, so it doesn't go into the station or other facilities.
Okay, thank you.
And that would be garaged?
Yes.
52 weeks?
Yes.
Okay, and who would drive it? Would every volunteer be allowed to drive it, or your
Well,
full-timers
the
only?
EMTs or medical staff are the ones who are able to drive it, and first responders if we need additional personnel. And no one's able to drive it until they go through the driving course we have set up at the fire station.
Okay. Gentlemen, do I hear a motion?
Where's the old one going?
Well, we wanted to possibly keep it as a second because when it goes out for repairs or oil changes, we've been borrowing ambulances from other departments for quite a few years now. And every time we had a second call, actually I've been responding to a lot of the second calls around, so we wanted to keep it as a spare.
Is it worthy to be a spare? Is it worthy enough?
Now, if we wait too long, it probably won't be in the future.
Do we have personnel to man it?
It's not meant to be manned,
If a
24/7.
regular EMT crew, paramedics are on a call, and this is sitting in the station, do we have sufficient people that can jump on it and go to the scene where needed?
Well, we're also a volunteer department, so everything is on who's available at the time.
I mean, do we have enough trained people?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Do I hear a motion?
Your turn.
I'll make a motion.
Very good. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you please pass that to Jeremy? First one you had, Jeremy, was the John Deere tractor and attachments.
Okay, so yeah, the primary use that we were asked to put that piece of equipment in for was when we started talking about the use for baseball fields and softball fields. To be able to have equipment of our own that we wouldn't need someone that had a hoisting engineer's license to operate, because the size was underneath what was required for that. It also would be equipment that we'd be able to move on our own trailer. Anything larger, we'd probably have to have day or highway crew take the larger trailer out, which would need a Class A CDL, so we'd be able to transport that ourselves. We expanded upon what we initially were looking at with that, to also include a post hole digger on the back of that, because of some of the things that we've been asked to do, say in the parks, for resetting some of the posts, maybe making some areas where we have no driving capability of cars to go through, save our fields a little bit that's out there. I know a question came up initially, they were talking about, would it be worth it for only 8 hours a week? We were talking initially for the fields with that. That piece of equipment would be utilized for obviously a lot more than baseball and softball fields. Because it would have a front bucket for it, to be able to move loam, any type of, excuse me, throat's a little itchy today. Also be able to do mulch with it. When it came fall, we'd also be able to round up our leaves, push things aside, move a lot more pieces of equipment around with that tractor as well.
Now, would this be primarily at Dufresne, or would you take care of Brown Ellison also?
Well, I currently do take care of Brown Ellison as well, so that is one of the baseball fields that would be done.
Is there any other facilities that you use this at?
Well, yeah, again, so basically all the properties that I maintain, I'd be able to use it for one thing or another. Like we were just doing sand and everything, instead of just leaving sand in a pile in the middle of the parking lot, that might be an opportunity for us to be able to get it into the bucket, put it in the back of the truck and get it off the sites. We can use it for, obviously, like I said, when we're mounting other things, with post hole digger to be able to dig out areas as well. The back of that one would also have a power box rake on there that we were talking initially for doing the baseball and softball fields, but with more research in there and looking at it, that could also be utilized at like the playground over at Dufresne Park. Because we have a mulch that's in there, it gets compacted and it gets shifted around. So what you can actually do is you can fluff out that
Till it.
mulch and drag it along, and then you can, extend the life of that. And then once it's all spread properly, then we can also use that bucket that we have when we bring in more mulch to be able to spread it around to the areas, instead of trying to wheelbarrow things all over the place. And manpower is a big thing. You can do a lot more with a piece of equipment than you can with 4 or 5 people and a week's worth of work. Yes?
What is the minimum requirement for the hoisting engineer's license? I forgot. For weights and lifting heights, et
David
cetera.
said it more, but I believe it's
Would you know, David?
500 pounds, 10 feet.
10 feet
If it lifts more than 500 pounds or over 10 feet,
or over 10 feet,
it triggers.
either or.
And over the half a yard. Wasn't it also
I
cubic?
think there's also a cubic yardage rating in there as well.
So
I think the lift capacity of that, when you're talking about, is an 8-foot bucket,
8
the
feet,
height going up.
1,200 pounds? You have a license? You do have a
I
license?
do have a license.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just forgot the requirements on the license.
Yeah, I could.
All right, thank you. I forget a lot of things.
Dave,
Okay,
because I did.
I have a couple of questions about the machine itself.
Yeah.
For lifting the weight in the front, you gonna put anything on the back? Are they gonna load the rear tires, or you gonna put a weight box? Or because you start getting something out there, it's gonna be tippy.
Yeah, and again, we're not looking at lifting much weight because of the size of the bucket, but at the time, we're gonna leave the implement on the back of that. So we'd either have that box rake on the back there, which I was told would counterweight it.
Okay.
Or we can even keep on the back, they were also looking for a 3-foot wide tiller, so I was told the weight would go off of that. I was originally even concerned about front weights when using the rear, because when I worked at Hopkins Caddy, I know used to bring the front up, but they said that the load displacement is different now on the newer tractors.
Grill guard? Grill guard?
No, we did not have that in there on that.
Get one.
So even with the
And-
post hole digger, you would have enough counterweight to not get off
Not
kilter?
sure. That's what I was told by the.
Does it have
instructor.
does it have any like outriggers?
No,
Okay, it's not big enough?
no. it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a smaller series, so, we're
Is
not
it-
looking at doing huge hauling, obviously,
Is,
for the price point.
is not the loader assembly, which I realize it is, the bucket itself, quick detachable?
It is, yes.
Put a set of forks on there, it'd be better and safer for moving telephone poles when you're replacing the barricades, rather than swinging one off a chain. $600. They're safer.
Go ahead.
I move we give facility maintenance approve the request for the tractor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And the next, actually, I had one question. Where's it gonna sleep?
Well, I believe your next item that we.
The storage
that we discussed.
structure.
Yeah, so we're looking for a storage structure that we'd be able to place a lot of our equipment into. That'd be one piece of the equipment. The size of the structure we're looking at would actually also help us with the Toro large area mower. Not only just for like any winter type storage, but just to keep it out of the rain and sun, just to keep the tires from always being exposed to the sunlight and elements. We'd also be able to possibly tuck a couple other pieces of equipment into the back during the season, so that way, again, we're not just out there in the open. This, of course, would have the cement blocks around the base of it to keep it secured. It is the same exact kind of structure that is used now over at the highway department for their salt and sand mix.
Okay.
So it's fairly large.
And where would it be located?
We're looking at possibly at the old library, and we have to go through committees to see if that would be possible. If not, then West Street School would be the alternate.
What about behind the police station, fire station?
We're really not able to store much behind there because of the fact that we have the well out there. We're limited by DEP to be able to drive equipment even out there. So once you get towards the Connex box, past that area, we're not even supposed to have motorized vehicles use that. So we wouldn't be able to have an area big enough for it. The other area, of course, that's going to be used is North Street will be the new Veterans Memorial. So The best would probably be next to be West Street School. If you look on the right-hand side of where the building is now, there's Connex boxes there.
Yep.
So we'd already have a flat area and be able to utilize that, and then also have parking up the front, if it comes to that.
Very good. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, good.
Do we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next one, Mr. DeRochers. The original one we received was H1.
Oh, is this the new one?
Would you like to speak on H1, or?
The two prices you just got today were updated pricing because the prices I originally got from them were in November, and after seeing the increases on everything else between November and now, we felt we had to get up-to-date pricing just for today's meeting.
Yep.
I hope that it will be adequate to go to July or whenever. Basically, the sweeper, I believe is your H1, isn't that?
Yes.
Yes. We've been purchasing old sweepers for a number of years, and having to rebuild them, we're keeping our fingers crossed that it made the season this year. It's just about done. The main conveyor on our sweeper is about had it. The conveyor belt is ripped. We were worried that it wasn't even going to make the season this year. In addition to that, it needs a main bearing on the drive shaft that drives the brooms. So if we keep the one we have, it's going to be significant expense to repair and significant labor, which I don't think is wise to invest at this point. We've been managing, with your help over the last few years, of purchasing equipment that makes us more efficient. Even though we keep doubling our workload, like even sweeping, we've got to sweep twice a year now per EPA and DEP mandates. We just keep adding to our duties and adding to our duties without the manpower. The only way to offset that is to do it with efficient equipment, basically. And the sweeper, the last two sweepers we had were cast-offs from other towns that got rid of them because they were old and tired, and they didn't want to put the money or time to repair them. And this one's, I think, 90s. No, the 2000, I'm sorry. Our other one was 90s. We upgraded to a 2000 a few years back. Still had to do a bunch of repairs to get it to go to this stage, but we've been using it over the last few years, and there's a lot of things that do wear out on them. The conveyor belt, the whole conveyor system on this one is pretty tired right now. We band-aided it last year.
The new Elgins, do they have a warranty?
I'm sure they have all assortment of warranties for however long you want to do it, but typically with the warranty periods, they know how long these things last.
Yep.
And same thing with the John Deeres. They sell you the warranties over the normal trouble-free lifespan. Beyond that, the warranties get very expensive.
Okay, so
Roughly, how many hours on the hour meter on that thing? Would you know?
I am not sure. I think it's in the thousands, 8,000, maybe 6,000, 8,000 on that. There's not as many miles, but there's a lot of hours.
Right, I know that goes by hours.
Yeah.
Because you've got here 5 weeks per year approximate, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, that's 5 40-hour weeks, 200 hours a year, 20 years, maybe 4,000 hours.
Yep.
Which is good. And if the one you got now has got 6 or 8, you're not sure, we're much better off with a newer machine.
Yeah.
Because 52 times 40 is 2,080, right? Hours in a work year.
Yep.
Okay, so it would be if it worked full-time, it would be 2 years old at the end of 20 years.
Right.
Okay.
All right, and Dave, you said this is mandated by the state, right?
Oh, we have to sweep.
Yep, you have to sweep.
It's part of our stormwater permit, discharge permit. And the problem is the time windows, basically. Everybody wants to sweep early in the year because later in the year we get into paving and everything else. So we're really constrained by the calendars, basically, and the contractors as well.
And the weather.
And the weather. And it's very difficult to schedule contractors in. That's why I've always preferred to own our own equipment and do it ourselves, because it's just a whole other order of magnitude of difficulty to get people in on time and work it into our schedules.
Do you have any idea what it would cost to rent one, or is that even feasible?
I could get that, but it's, I mean, I know the contractor pricing, we have been putting in a bid, and it's quite high. I mean, it's like anything else, the costs keep going up too. With fuel, and the price of these machines are going crazy. There's no easy answer, and I gave you the number of hours that we normally use it full-time. That's in the spring, and in the fall we are forced to sweep the entire town, or at least in the fall, all curb streets have to be swept. But then if there's a spill, a lot of times stone gets spilled on a curb at Chickadee Street or whatever, we'll send the machine out. That's why it's nice to have our own in-house, because it's ready, you jump in, turn the key, and go.
Okay, any other questions?
Good.
Gentlemen, motion?
I make the motion that to approve the purchase of the sweeper.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the last one, or the next one, is the Asphalt Hot Box Recycler. Is this the one that rips up the roads and lights them on fire?
No.
You saw that one, right?
That's hot in place recycling, yes. It's just basically
H2.
trailer mounted hot box. Basically, you buy the hot mix from the plants when they're open. This keeps the material hot on the shoulder seasons, early in the spring when it's cold out, 40-degree days. It doesn't take very long when you're trying to do patching. That ton gets cold and unusable. You end up throwing half of it away, or it doesn't work that well because of the fact that it's below temp. Same thing at the end of the season. In November, we're filling potholes or whatever. Not as critical for, like a large amount of paving. When you're doing with a full truckload, it takes a little longer for it to get cool. But when you're talking about small quantities, this is the tool to keep the asphalt from getting cool. And especially with the cost of asphalt, we don't want to be throwing any away. I mean, it's probably going up $10 to $15 a ton this year.
So that only utilizes hot mix from a plant?
Correct.
It does not reheat old mix, so to speak?
They say they're recyclers, but you can buy like burn mix in chunks and throw it in there, but then you got to warm it all overnight, and it's, I don't know, I've talked to different people that have these, and some use it. We've got the spray patcher that works very well in certain instances as well, but again, it's a different tool for a different purpose.
Now, the spray patcher, that's the one that seals the cracks, right?
It seals the cracks. We've done a lot of thin overlays on New Ludlow Road. We bought 5 or more years. I would have already milled and overlaid a section of New Ludlow. We're extending the life a little bit by the spray patching. We've done a lot of spray patching already this year on roads that have been really beat up from this. This was a bad winter as far as the freeze thaws and the amount of rain that got into the pavements, tore the pavements up pretty good.
So you use the sweeper first, the crack filler, and then this guy?
Sweeper and catch basin cleaning at the moment.
Catch basin cleaning, yep.
We're doing, and then.
So it's a whole system?
Yep.
I'm under the impression that this machine was approved a few years ago, but I guess never put at town meeting. Am I correct in guessing that?
No, we've never been. We purchased a spray patcher
Okay.
a different, it's a whole
different machine.
It's a whole different process.
All right.
The spray patcher, we use it,
I've seen it, yeah. Well, but I made a mistake.
Tom, you're thinking of the Dura patcher.
yeah.
It's called the Dura patcher, and that was purchased. Okay.
And we have used it on a number of streets, even this spring we've used it, because we can use that before the plants open up. The only downside is there's no local supplier of the oil. I have to send the truck to Connecticut to go get oil for the Durapatcher. That's the downside on that one.
What do you think the lifespan of this guy is? I know you say here 20 years, but has anyone in your crew ever used one? And
No, but they're becoming more and more popular with the cost of asphalt. When asphalt was $20 a ton, you could afford to
you do the whole
throw
road?
a half a ton away and not worry about $10 too much. But now when it's going to be approaching $100 a ton, it gets expensive to throw a half ton away every few hours.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Good.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Chief? Are you here for a cruiser?
I'm here for a cruiser, big surprise, right?
We're not going to ask you about leasing.
Yeah, that's not feasible. Basically, you're paying, you have to buy it out at the end anyway, so it's,
I am going to ask you about the rebate money, not the rebate, your trade-in value. Why is it so low?
because you bring them out there in bulk, as long as it rolls in the driveway, they'll give you something for it.
Now, are we taking the old cruisers and recycling them to other departments like we used to? Not anymore?
We're not allowed to under green community.
Green Community stopped that. Okay.
Right, so this is, again, now that we are a green community, this would be a hybrid. We got our first one last year. Seems to be, once everybody learned how to use it, it's totally different. I mean, 1 minute the car's running, next minute it's on
Shuts off.
battery, and it's just doing its thing. And so it was a learning curve for everybody, but this would be replacing a 2017 that has approximately 102,000 miles on it. And again, it's a one-for-one. It's a fully marked car, all the cages, and of course, unfortunately, we have to buy all the new equipment because from 17 to 22, or possibly even 23, depending on how fast these come in, nothing fits from.
Okay. So the body style and the back seat and
Exactly.
the restraints are all different?
Yeah. That's all part of that price.
Yep. And that includes the light bar package,
Absolutely.
does this include the upgraded communications package with, I know in years past, we were looking for a new radio system?
It should.
That incorporated all
We should be
departments?
able to get a new radio, because we are working on a whole radio system for the town.
Right.
With this price, we should be able to put a radio and be ready. The radio system that we got approved last year is going to be P25 compatible. So as we replace the cruisers, we're buying P25 compatible radios in the car.
Okay, for our audience at home, can you please tell us what P25 is?
That is more on the fire side. It has to do with their communication, correct?
Oh, wow! Wow, there you go.
I mean, the police don't need P20, we need to be able to communicate with fire, but P25 is a national fire standard that is slowly but surely being enacted, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's, because it's difficulty talking into buildings and whatnot because of concrete, so the P25 would assist us in that area. And, that's what our biggest issue is unable to communicate in, certain areas.
Will the P25 eliminate dead spots throughout the town?
Well, with the radio system that we have, I'm gonna give it right back to you, but the radio system with the antenna and everything, am I correct, is supposed to
It's
assist
supposed
with
to
that?
enhance it. Yes, one of the studies they had said that we're about 45 to 65% efficient with communication. This will get it up into the 80 to 90 percentile with the radio system we're working on getting a quote for now. It's never perfect, but this is much better. But we're only going compatible at this point because by law we don't have to be compliant, and they keep issuing grants. And to upgrade would probably be like another $100,000 roughly to make be P25 compliant compared to compatible. So that's why we're gonna go compatible, hopefully write a grant to be compliant when and if the time comes.
And the cost for this is $56,362 per the bid, and that's with the $1,000 trade-in.
Correct.
Okay, it's 41.
And this letter says, the green community member was advised that the town must buy a hybrid vehicle?
Correct. Okay. Which is roughly $3,500 more than a conventional gas engine.
Okay.
And that's why we can't recycle them to other departments, correct?
Dave keeps trying to get them, can't let him have it.
You said 3,500 approximately price difference?
Between the gas engine and a hybrid, correct.
And $3.40 a gallon, you've got projected fuel savings of 64.
Right.
Almost double that.
And where are we seeing $3.40 a gallon right now? I know what on my
Yeah.
paper,
Right, I know,
I say when driving by the pump.
I know when this
Yeah.
was written, I understand that, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's
So
a-
you would stand to save more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You maybe get up right up to 7,500.
Yeah,
Who
hopefully.
knows, but yes, it's a good savings.
Yep.
I'm good.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Can you please give the mic to Mr. Sullivan? Okay. At this point, I have to tell Mr. Martin here that I might have a potential conflict with this department, so you were saying there's an exception, or?
We may have to use the rule of necessity.
A rule of necessity. So there's a rule of necessity that we might invoke for this to allow me to vote on these items. Adam, would you like to tell us about the, let's see, which one's first here? Gymnasium HVAC and locker room upgrade.
Sure. We had put forward this request last year as well. What we tried to do is break it out into phases. So this would be kind of a partial update renovation to the gym, but that would be to update HVAC in the gym area and both the boys and girls locker room. As noted on that Form B, the high school, as we're still aware, is the designated emergency shelter for the town, which needs operable showers and running water. And right now, the showers in those locker rooms do not
The boys don't work.
So again, we've kind of broken this down into phases, and the first phase that you guys have in front of you is HVAC in the gym, and then renovating the boys and girls locker rooms. And a lot of the HVAC came into focus obviously through COVID. We had a engineer firm come out during COVID and kind of assess the building, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but during COVID, when we had gym classes in there, we needed to have the doors open to the outside and huge industrial-sized fans circulating air. So we had classes in there in the middle of the winter with doors open and fans going in order to properly circulate the air. So this would be to upgrade the HVAC system in those locker rooms.
Okay, when you upgrade the HVAC system, is that something that's going to be automated so the facility maintenance personnel, Mr. Sullivan, can take care of it?
Yes, yep.
And remotely monitor it?
Yes, similar to East Meadow, and then similar to how, I know we've added some remote access capability to the high school, or at least monitoring capability to the high school, so certainly. And the quotes that are attached to this, we got these quotes just before COVID. I think it was December of 19. We did reach out to this vendor. They did say we could use those quotes, but obviously, as we all know, those prices probably will increase. But for the sake of the capital committee, they were still valid quotes.
Now, Roy Brown's been involved with the exhaust fans in the high school previously, has he not?
Correct.
Okay, would this replace the Anything else in the gymnasium? There's no, what are this, the stands aren't getting replaced?
So again, we, like I said, we broke this out into phases. I believe we did 3 phases. This would be one of them.
Yep.
The next phase would be a new gym floor, new bleachers, and I believe the 3rd phase was like the entranceway, walking in and updating and renovating that portion. So we'd like to eventually do the whole area, but coming through COVID, we realized that HVAC was the most important part of those phases.
And the gymnasium got brand-new doors all around, right? The new secure doors?
Correct, that was through a grant, yeah, a few years ago, I believe, yes. Yep.
Good, so that's secure and
Yes.
stops the drafts?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure, as we all know, that the whole school and particularly the gym needs some updating, so this is, trying to start that process.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
This is one of 3 phases. What is the eventual total cost of this renovation?
Chris, off the top of my head, I believe it's over $3 million, but I could certainly follow up and get that.
Now, this doesn't trigger ADA or seismic restraints at all, does it?
I think it does.
So you might, if all 3 go through, would he not need a survey and?
Yeah. I think ADA is 30% of the value of the building for over a 3-year period of repair work.
Right.
And I think seismic is 40%, I remember.
Now, what have you had in the last 2 years?
The new roof.
The new roof and the exhaust fans?
Well, the exhaust fans are part of the new roof.
Right.
Yeah, that was 2019 that finished, I think.
And the same question will come up for our next request in the kitchen as well. I mean,
Yeah, but the kitchen's only 600.
well, so there's it is, and that we can explain, we're assuming the total is going to be over 600, but we can get through this and we can talk more about that, but it's a good point, and it's something that's come up in our discussion at where we trigger that threshold.
You can note, and Chris is aware of this, we did put in a statement of interest with the Mass School Building Authority last year for a renovation. We were not invited to partner with them in this phase. We're planning to submit another application in this round. They open every year. But even should we get invited for a larger project for the school building, they say 5 to 7 years once invited.
And what would our reimbursement rate be?
I think in our conversations it was 50 to 60%. They say, I think 60% was the number they had us use, but there are also some things that are not eligible for reimbursement, so they said around 50% might be a safer way to crunch the numbers.
Okay, in years past, you've come for oil tanks. Are those still an issue?
They sure are. I mean, as long as I've been here, we haven't put forward oil tanks, Chris. You may know, or you guys may know, maybe before me, but I wouldn't say they're an issue, but they are certainly continuous to cost us excess money every year.
Any grants or other sources of funding?
I mean, we can certainly look. I know the Green Energy Committee helped us get new circulating pumps for them last year or 2 years ago. But again, the cost of not even maintaining them, just some repair work that they need over the last few years is going up.
No, not on the storage tanks, but he's talking boilers.
I'm talking boilers, yes.
He's not talking these storage tanks.
Okay.
Sorry if I misunderstood that.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. Gentlemen, any other questions?
I do not.
No, I'm good.
Now, would this allow the gymnasium to be used for more events, more things, or would this be strictly school-orientated?
I don't believe we're restricted right now. I mean, through COVID, we were occupancy-wise, but I believe right now we're not restricted other than capacity issues with how many, but other than that, for ventilation reasons, we're not restricted anymore.
Okay. Chris, do you have any questions?
Right now.
Very good. Okay, no other questions, gentlemen? Do I hear a motion?
You have to recuse yourself from this, correct?
I have,
Well, it all depends. There's a split vote. He may be required to split the tie. That will be the rule of necessity. If the two of you vote the same way, his vote won't matter and he can abstain from the vote.
Okay.
Very good.
thank you.
You good?
I guess so.
Yeah. I'll make a motion, yeah?
This is pretty much mandated, correct? We don't have,
I wouldn't say mandated, but, yes, it's a necessity.
that new high school 10 years ago would have covered all this, right?
It would have.
What's that?
The new high school 10 years ago would have covered this last year, the year
Yes.
before, next
Yes.
year.
Yeah, I think this is one piece of the puzzle in that building. I think the next item up is another piece of the puzzle, and, you know, we're gonna continue to try to pursue opportunities with MSBA where we can get some reimbursement. But, you know, as Chris knows, he's been part of it, that was a pretty significant price tag when we were having those conversations with MSBA, and unfortunately, we didn't get invited in this round, but I think we had a positive experience with them, and we're going to keep applying to get into that. But, you know, when you think about that 5 to 7 years down the road, and where we are now, and Adam mentioned phys ed classes, but even for basketball games, wrestling matches, the doors had to be open with those fans going, just so we're getting the air changes per hour that were recommended.
All right, I'm good. You good? Yeah, I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I recuse myself.
So the next one is the kitchen, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but right now the kitchen in the high school is inoperable. And our food service company, Chartwell's, prepares all meals in the kitchen at East Meadow, and then transports them across the parking lot to the junior, senior high school. And again, that all came about during COVID. The same engineering firm came in and pretty much told us that the ventilation in the cafeteria and in the kitchen was insufficient to have for that area.
For food prep.
For food prep.
So basically, in the prep area, there's an exhaust there, and it's pulling all the air from the hallways in the building, through the cafeteria, into the food prep area and out. So they basically said, food can't be prepped in that area because you're pulling all this stale air through, so it wouldn't be safe. So thus, we've found a back door using East Meadow, a different, like a former classroom now to serve those meals, but that still allowed students to eat meals in the cafeteria.
And the cost, so background on the cost, we're well aware it'll probably be well over that 600,000, probably over $1 million. We put 600,000 on this request because at the time of the request, we earmarked about $450,000 on an ESSER ARPA grant that we have. And we, like I said, we set aside about $450,000 that we said we may be able to use for that. So we're assuming the cost of this project would be over $1 million. So if we took those two together, it'd get us a little closer. It seems plans have shifted a little bit since then, and we may not be able to allocate all of that $450 that we had planned to help with this project. But again, as we're aware as of right now, that school is still the designated emergency shelter, and along with locker rooms and showers, it also needs a kitchen to be operable. So that the kitchen is of highest priority, certainly.
So if the grant money is not available, the 450, you're going to add it, you're going to be above $1 million. You had $1.3 million on the last request. And phases 2 and 3, the next couple of years, are almost definitely going to trigger the ADA compliancy,
Yep.
seismic restraints.
Yep.
So we're definitely going to have to get MSBA involved at some point and, get the letter of intent and go through it, but
Certainly, and we're, like Steve said, we're gonna reapply this year, and unfortunately, it's a 5 to 7 year
look at it.
window, and we don't really have 5 to 7 weeks to not have our kitchen anymore, so that's kind of that is a priority, certainly.
But the Chartwells does currently operate out of East Meadow and bring it over and...
They do, and they're doing a great job. It's not the most efficient or sustainable model right now, but we are making it work in hopes of having something in place for probably not next year, but maybe the year after. But
And we should know that contract's going up to bid.
yeah, the food service contract is going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
whoever...
not sure if this situation will have any impact on that bid or anything like that,
But whoever the new food service company would be, would have to honor that agreement and serve both schools, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep, certainly. Yep.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have no questions.
No, good.
Any questions? Okay. Gentlemen, would you like to make a motion?
I make the motion that we move forward with the exhaust system for the kitchen cafeteria area.
Now, is this at the 600 level that's here, or are we bumping that up? Because they have 450 in grant money that might not be available. Should we put that in the request?
They have a caveat, with 600,000, potentially 1,050,000. Because I need to look into that more. I
Okay.
know that the 450 may not be available.
And we couldn't get formal quotes on it only due to Chapter 30B and the size of the project. It might trigger other things, so honestly, it's a guesstimate at this point.
So good.
I made the motion.
All right.
You made the motion?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the vote on the first project?
They voted in favor and I abstained.
Who made the motion to?
Oh, boy.
Did you make the
On
motion
which item?
On the gymnasium.
Gymnasium.
It was Rob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob on the first one, Tom on the second. That concludes all the items that we have for now.
There is one request
Yes, Chief.
for reconsideration.
Yes, Chief.
Yes, sorry, I was wondering if you can reconsider car 1.
Car 1.
Because it's 8 years old and I have more mileage than the Cruiser does. I'm at 114,000.
And even that, your engine might have been running a lot.
Yeah, besides the hours on the motor.
So this is for 59,000?
Yes.
For the new vehicle? And that's the hybrid that we had spoke about earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Interceptor utility V6 all-wheel drive. Now, is that like the current police force fleet? Or is that a
Well, it's under,
is it a
it's
bigger
under the
vehicle,
same,
or-
it's the same company that produces the Cruisers.
Okay,
So we know it's the company in the build. It's the same company we went with for our car 2 that we just purchased, the hybrid one.
okay, is it what I'm asking, is it a bigger body style? Is it like the Escape, or is it
No, it's actually smaller than my Tahoe. I went with a smaller unit for more efficiency. And being the fire chief since August, I realized I didn't need that much room.
Yep.
So I decided to reduce the size and, calculate what is actually space needed.
Now, last year, I believe it was last year, the request was for another vehicle that had items secured in the back. Will you have anything secured in the back? Any first aid gear or any fire gear?
Well, yes, we're gonna have, just the first aid kit that goes with every vehicle, and of course, a fire extinguisher goes with every vehicle, and some minor tools.
Okay, is that in this quote?
Yes, everything is in the quote.
Okay. That's the cargo vault, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. And this will have the communication also, the upgraded communication that the
Yes.
cruiser had?
That's where our plan was, that's why I was kinda nodding at the same time, because we were all trying to prepare and plan for the future for us. And so we know we're going that way, so we're trying to prepare each new vehicle and bring the upgrade.
Do we know when this new communication standard is going to go into effect and when you're going to be mandated to comply?
Actually, as of right now, it's just like,
Or are we just doing it by attrition?
no, I know it's coming in, I'm sorry, I just don't know exactly timeframe.
Okay.
You plan on keeping the old one, right?
We were going to, and that's what we're still trying to consider, because
Okay.
we have a lot of people who go to training, and we're considering of keeping it and setting it for them to go to training and use it as a tow vehicle as well, because we're getting rid of another vehicle.
So one in, one out.
That's still gonna be decided down the road.
They don't have the right to make that decision.
No, we don't. That's why it's him and Han. I can't really answer questions like
Okay.
that. I gotta decide if I can maintain it,
Because
keep
it's
it.
been the policy of the Board of Selectmen. When you buy one, you get rid of one. Because for a while there, we weren't getting rid of anything. And we had too many vehicles. They were old, expensive to maintain, and the issue became is nobody wanted to get rid of them. And the Board of Selectmen made a policy decision that from now on, when we replace vehicles, you buy one, you get rid of one. Period.
Because our intent is to, the majority of the people and the officers on the department would like to just trade it off, and others wanted to keep it. So this is something we were discussing.
What were you getting rid of? The old Tahoe?
Yes, the one I'm currently driving.
Okay. Because that was planned on going when you got the pickup truck with the slide-out tool body, correct? From
No,
last year?
that was car 2 and R3. Our rescue truck, and then our car 2, which is our officer's vehicle.
I don't recognize the numbers. Which one's the pickup truck that's got the slide-out tool bed?
Car 2.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it's our officer's vehicle.
Gentlemen, any other questions?
No more questions.
No, I'm good.
We good? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Does that conclude today's agenda? Thank you. That concludes today's agenda.